Now, this United States Army base carries this COVID-19 policy regulation service, the Hummer. Now, this Hummer carries COVID-19 policy regulation services. Policy regulation services, the policy regulation service, Mr. McKenna Law Firm at 704 East Olive, Moses Lake, Washington. Now, this Hummer consists of COVID-19, Mr. United States President of the United States of America, Mr. Joe Biden. And don't forget, Mr. Donald Trump. Now, Georgia Policy Regulations is detainment service of the COVID-19 Policy Regulations Administration Office to use its sanctions, services, policy regulations because Mr. Felix Barela shut down WorkSource in Tri-Cities, Washington, and Moses Lake, Washington. She got policy, regulations, services. She got statute service in the United States Army base and regulations and service of quarantine, Moses Lake, Washington, and also Seattle, Washington. Also Kennewick and Richland, Washington. Bank County Justice Department, Mr. Andy Miller, Mr. Ryan Lutzkin, the Mayor of Richland and City Hall, and also Patty Murray and Mrs. Cantwell at Senator's Office. Mr. John Lou McKinnon at 704 East Olive, Moses Lake, Washington. 509-765-4451. Fax 509-765-6019. Now, Juneteenth. Of course, Juneteenth is a 9-10 years anniversary of the COVID-19 policy regulations. And Coach Simmer, we got this beautiful Hummer at the United States Army base. Mr. Mark Miley, Mr. Norman James Mattis incorporated the service of the COVID-19 policy at the Social Security Office. An executive order, the president's primary election at the Social Security Office at 8131, Climate State. That's Teresa Arcelo, Administrative Support Assistant, and the Supreme Justice Department Division Appeals Office, Seattle, Tacoma, and Spokane, and also the Federal Courthouse at 831 Pioneer is Rhonda Kaiser. She's an agent. She's a FENA Service Rep Services and Forethought Policy Agent at Global Services. And Mr. J. Mueller in 1401 South Union, that's Kennewick office, and Jim Dirting, Jim Mueller, and Amy Mueller at the Mueller's Family Funeral Home Policy Regulations and COVID-19 Presidential Primary Election. Now, Donald Trump went to Georgia and increments of society of his COVID-19 policy regulations service served on February 4th of 2023 and also May 25th, 26th, 27th, 29th, Memorial Weekend, and also June 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th, Juneteenth. Now, Juneteenth is the 1919 regulation, COVID-19 policy regulations, and Mr. 825 Javin, Patty Murray, Mrs. Cantwell at the Senator's Office, Kennedy Building. This is the executive order that they got going on. We got this bodily threats of a liquor containment of service. Now, they got all kinds of stories and stipulations and services how Mr. Bin Laden, Mr. Bin Laden, they were taking photographs, Department of Defense and Secretary of Vice Presidency, Kadia Rice, Representative Service for Ashcroft, and Mr. Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani, known for the fact he's a representative for New York City. We got a Verizon Verizon retailer's office right in downtown Wall Street, New York, right on Mellon Street, and then also Wall Street has a Verizon retail office. And Mrs. Ivanka Trump and Donald Trump carries this executive order and killing Tiffany's mother, as you can see, Donald Trump's wife, and Ivanka Trump's immediate mother, biological mother, brings a transition report of a manifest at McKenna Law Firm and breaking a window out, consisting of criteria or a service of COVID-19 policy regulations, which brings a scattering amount of service for the diplomatic and Republican parties. And making have accessing to terrorist attacks and the federal guidelines and the Facebook Increment Society of the Military, Mr. Mark Miley, Mr. Norman James Mattis, General Marine Corps, and General of the Army base, consists of making biological weapons to its criteria services, to its facilitating increments to the society, and banishing and garmenting weapons of mass destruction consisting of uranium, plutonium, and blueprints at CIMARON5INC, UBI number 602722097 of the Liquor Hammer Mill, A and B and C building, and Hanford Liquor Site, the Kennedy building. Now, this is used as a biological weapon and possessing a rough liquor weapon, a ugly bomb, a dirty bomb, uranium, plutonium, and also using isotopes, and also graphite, which is used to consist of holding and filtering a system biological nuclear bomb deterrent to blow up Washington State. Now, Mr. Bin Laden is a successful access of the service to weapons and uranium, plutonium, and also Tomahawk missiles from Yakima Bravo base that policy regulations on CDL license department here in Mos Lake take a downgrade and submitting download to Microsoft components. And there's Mr. Bill Gates at Medina at 7 at Northwest Territory. Now, this is a biological weapon, and then they have in the midst of a bunch of gravel pit. They got some gravel pit. We got some stationary soil and base, and a underground service here applying to COVID. And then we got some routing systems and services. We got a Hummer in the yard, in the military yard, and we got a mass destruction bomb where Mr. Bin Laden and Mr. Obama and Mr. Senator McCain and Roberta Kane and Megan McCain, and also a Vox dead mother and Roberta Barela, which is a service for the Mr. Joe Biden's burial service at Mueller's Funeral Home for the Bravo military base for Guantanamo Bay. Guantanamo Bay has the successor of terrorists, and it's a biological weapon access to the service how they can blow Washington State up. See, they killed a Vox mother. They killed Roberta Barela and Lola Hernandez, which is South Dakota. And the Saratoga, USS Saratoga, was broken down and salvaged. Billions upon billions of arsenal services and biological Tomahawk missiles and nuclear warheads are contained on the Saratoga. And they go to a scrap yard, and they're scrapping it and getting closer and closer and closer and closer to the deadline where they want to get this populated area. Oh, look here, we got wasp. We got a queen mama wasp. It's queen mama wasp. She can hear my voice. Queens. They say the queens were integrated in policy, regulation, and service and killed thousands upon thousands, millions of harvest males and females and dominated services. And we got it's a self-enduring queen at the Army base. Very individual, sophisticated queens they are. Data and information and confirmation, face recognition, and busy warriors that they contribute to the access blueprints. And Miss CIMARON5INC had access for blueprints in their community and services by the fields, the cornfields, alfalfa fields, and also the onion fields and Sputniks, Lotwoods, and John Deere equipment. Moline, Illinois, the tank services. Getting close to a weld and beating, closing the cylinder itself, inflicting probable cause of a nuclear holocaust of Washington State itself. They wouldn't bring this to downtown Seattle with Bill Gates itself. Bill Gates is well protected in the Navy Department. But it's got this rummaged area of propane water aisle access inserts, contribute neutrons, electrons, fusion, access to a nuclear bomb. Right here, it is Windemore. This apartment complex is Windemore. And they have Pasco Outlet Service and Service Administration Office where they killed Saddam Hussein in Pasco, Washington at the Sacagawea Bar. But it's O'Day, Saddam Hussein. They also killed the notorious Baghdadi. Now, Baghdadi is the for ISIS, Taliban member, and corporate native arms and services like the Yakima Reservation and carrying the Executive Chemical Command Order. See, this is a manufactured weapon and also a biological weapon to itself and to the society itself, and they have a bunch of Windemore representatives right next to it and a bunch of individuals. A church league with a basketball hoop, and then we got a Hummer in the backlog of information. Miss Kadia Rice is a representative for the administration office of the Supreme Justice Department at 1st Street Northwest P.O. Box. It's Northwest, Washington, D.C. 20543. Now, McKinnon 704 East Olive, Mr. John Luke McKinnon. We got the fax number. We got Annie Miller, Norman Manis, and also Mr. Mark Miley, and also Social Security Office and Administration Office, Social Security Propane Company. Well, billions and billions of lines are destroyed. And corporate billions and billions of lines destroyed, not propane lines. They want to access property lines and guidance, locations, and also perimeters and areas that they can go and dig and put some end caps and existing lines so they can incorporate through their terrorist activities and accounts, savings, bank assessments, liabilities, and offshore accounts. As you can see, this coexist inlet, Mr. Windermere, realty office right next to it. You know, they said Mr. Bin Laden was right next to the army base. And the corporate the service of this nuclear bomb. That's what it is, the nuclear bomb. And the Hanford facility in Richland, Washington, they have blueprints. CIMARON5 acts of blueprints, so their community service cover-up, replicating a nuclear bomb to blow up Washington State. But whereabouts in Washington State are they going to use the nuclear bomb? Access the nuclear deterrence and services. There's no codes, and the global service is just immediate contact and igniting. See the myths of the cover-up of the nuclear bomb deterrent and service. And is there a beehive? Oh yeah, there's a beehive right there. It's the queens. Those are queens. Nanas, it's you, nanas. Those are queen bees. See how powerful this ISIS, Taliban, and tribal terrorist attack administration office COVID-19 data information recovery services. Now, Bill Gates is administration office rep, walking around Felix in Seattle, carrying all the data and information, their service, and also the jury story in Mose Lake. Of course, the facts, information from Rhonda Kaiser Funeral Home at 831 Pioneer Way brings a lot of Windermere Realty office right next to it. Go figure. And Bin Laden at a mansion area, walking his garden, in the midst of his incorporation of his service of executive order of COVID-19, President Primary Election, Donald Trump and Mr. Obama, Mr. John Luke McKinnon, and carrying the service of the executive order, and carrying your monument, the service of bringing Mr. Bin Laden to video imaging and service, and then having Venison incorporate their birth certificate, death certificate, and arrival services into an orchard area, a garden where Bin Laden himself incorporated mass destruction bomb to blow up and kill people in Washington State, to make it affirmative that the nuclear determined the Hanford Nuclear Kennedy Building in 825 Jadwin in Richland, Washington, incorporate their service of execution of tolerance of their hatred towards the United States of America and their terrorist attacks and their bodily harm and threats, with encasing their sealed documentations in populated Pakistan, Afghanistan, North Province, and Shelties, and also Saudi Arabia and Dubai and Kabul, which is an airport and very popular outbreak like flus in Iraq and Iran to supply weapons, food, and also nuclear deterrence. As you can see, Mr. Bin Laden has access to a nuclear bomb right here in Washington State, and cover-up of Windermere Realty Office with a bunch of mailboxes, access to the United States Army base. You know, you go figure. You have a Windermere Realty Office right next to an Army base, and you have Mr. Terrorist himself, Bin Laden, most wanted man, highest purse, wanted for stakes, and have mailboxes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to go right at the heart of the administration office of a United States Army base, and corporate to their successful, attack on Washington State. The biggest cover up. And John F. Kennedy was executed 2 weeks after he left Washington State, which Bin Laden. They had files, he had USBs, he had some drives, he had servers, computer data, video. It was incorporates of a service. And we got these cameras, imaging, and signatures, and his signatures. Now, Forest Protection Condition FPC on Bravo. There's an increase of more activity exists in sustained Bravo by effective operation capability in relation to local. Now, you see Windermere apartment complex and that nuclear bomb and right next to it, incorporate their policy regulations of the society and bring access of threats and bodily threats to a federal facility in Richland, Washington, Patty Murray Cantwell office, and Felix Barela's presence, and Mr. Ryan Lutzkin and Andy Miller's presence, and also the Kennewick City Hall and Richland City Hall and their service, and how their discretion, their service. The National Guard, Army, Moses Lake, go figure, Incorporate the service of the administration office of bringing a testimony, the successors, to a information center providing services for incorporate fugitive justice, Canada and Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, and also Africa and the Kenya area and Providence and service these anti-terrorist groups that fight ISIS, Taliban members, and also Russia, providing Ukraine high-class, high-powered weapons and accurate weapons, and also United States Air Force equipment to intercept these incoming individuals. Now, the change of the world, post accounts and services and direct deposits and EFT transactions, bring these transgressors to fundamental broadcasts on YouTube and National Guard, Army, and Moses Lake to, and we got the black, beautiful United States Army Transport Center that was parked here in the midst. But go figure. You go and want to be sent off to boot camp in the military and go get some live feedback in war, get a piece of United States of America and cross the paths of terrorists, of Mr. Bin Laden himself, taking blueprints and accessing accounts, people's mailboxes, and going to the Social Security office. But you're at Social Security office all the time. So how could that happen, right? 6500 32nd Avenue, Northeast, station from 911, MAC East 911. Washington Guard. And this is Patriot Soldier Neighbor, Washington National Guard. 1-800 Go Guard, National Guard. No, who could these consider to be a victim of September 11th? Right there, Mr. Bin Laden plotting his service and his successors, his individuals that followed Bin Laden and fought with Bin Laden, shoulder to shoulder Bin Laden. Mr. Kadia Rice, Mr. John Luke McKinnon, Mr. Norman J. Menace, Mr. Mark Miley, and Mr. Felix Barela, Barela, Felix. Boy, B as in boy, A as in Roger, E as in Echo, L.A., Los Angeles, F as in Foxtrot, E as in Echo, L as in Low, I as in Ion, X-ray. Washington Armed National Guard, Bravo Company, 1st Battalion, 161st Infantry. Now it says Commander. Now we may see these emblems all over Felix Barela, right? Increments of this Washington State National Guard, Bravo Company, 1st Battalion, 161st Infantry, Cab, 6500 36th Avenue, Northwest, Most Lake, Washington, 98837. Commander, 1st and Sergeant, also 1st in War, 1st in Peace. Look at these emblems. You got a Boy Scouts, Thunderbolts, you got a Scorpion, Arizona, you got a Crow, a Raven, a Crown. 1st in War and Peace. Red, white, and blue, and gold. An emblem. Look at this. Washington State and Army. Commander in Service and Battalion Service Policy Regulations. Now we see in ourselves. See what incorporates the successors and administration office. And though we have a peach tree that was taken down, there's a peach tree right next to the Army base sign, and they take all that. They take that peach tree down. Regardless their services and policy regulations, they're anti-attainment. But we have a peach tree at McKenna Law Firm, and this peach tree was awesome in their view of services, posing a threat to Felix Barela and his policy regulations, services, and administration also policy regulations. But go figure. You got all this terrorist activities. You got this contraband. You got this fortifying fortress of implying intel information, suppressing individuals of the United States government, uniform officers, and policy regulations, and non-uniform officers. Hey, you could be wearing some Levi's and some plated armor, known for the fact what you're getting into, because this is the National Guard Army in Moses Lake. See, we got a little black rig parked here to transport live National Guard Army Moses Lake, importing, intercepting individuals, policy regulations on the home front. Social Security Office live at Kennewick at the Social Security Office 8131. Mrs. Arcelo. Teresa Arcelo. Now she's a representative at the Social Security Office, the National Cascade Propane Company, and also the service supply of the COVID-19 policy regulation and services. See, there's no telling what people are about to do when they have all this information, misuse and misconduct, and this stationary service of their civility of being out and about and having their freedom. And right under your nose, right next door, you got terrorists plotting to be able to lick your bomb and waiting for that right moment in time to ignite it, and then take blueprints, access files, and bring it to his attention, Mrs. Kadia Rice, Mr. George Bush, and walking around the midst of his intimidation of the presidents and Biden presidents and Ray Carter, Donald Trump, George Bush, Mr. Bush, Mr. Obama, and Mr. Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Mr. Donald Trump, Mr. Joe Biden, and bringing these factual facts to, and go figure, this place is not going to tell you nothing. They're not going to tell you a thing, because opiates, I'll do anything for. Opiates means a drug addict, a habitual drug addict, a hardcore heroin addict, methamphetamine, and so forth. You can drink alcohol. They can enhance and downgrade their opiate, their drug habit, which is opiate, into a final resort, and they really don't care who they touch, what they did, who they did it to. And when they sober up, I get to see a judge, and they go to sent to prison for murder, rape, molestation, and then they go to trial. If they're not found guilty, if they're afraid, and if they're not afraid, and they're going to trial, like Mr. Donald Trump himself, they're putting a fix on him, trying to make an ass of him, thinking that to incorporate his service of administration office and policy regulations and service that they're giving administrations of general procedure and policy regulation services, and which is unfortunate for them, because yet you got access to a Social Security office, and you have files and access services to your birth certificate, your death certificate, your Social Security card, and administration office, your totals and amounts for a business office that you run. And COVID-19 is shutting you down, but they can't shut it down because this is the United States of America. You got freedom rights. You got individual services and policy regulations that brings the administration office to a downhill system, carrying this executive order. It carries this simple individual policy regulations. And now Hillary Clinton, she's a experienced, she's dedicated, she has a fundamental way of dealing with the society. Now, Hillary Clinton's running for president because she believes she needs to tear down the barriers that prevent Americans from reaching our full potential. Important, Wall Street never again threatens Main Street. But America isn't a single issue country. You need to more plan for the biggest banks. Middle class needs a raise. We need more goods to pay well and to be outreached in some dignity and path of brighter future. We create those good jobs building and progress we've under President Obama. Let's make investments, manufacture, small business, scientific research, even enough to clean energy for power for every home in America. Go figure, look at your bomb, the deterrent of blowing up Washington State. Using John F. Kennedy's building to master plot and get files and systems and blueprints to manufacture and build and blow up a Washington State to threaten and put the fear in God and everybody's lives because they built a bomb. Manufactured to blow Japan up, Hiroshima, the little boy and the big boy. And it says, Hillary Clinton, Democratic Party. We've waited long enough to qualify affordable child care and paid family and medical leave and equal pay. Let's break down and barriers to stop your young people from getting best possible start in life. We need to support great teachers, great schools in every zip code. Make college more affordable. Help relieve crushing burdens to student debt. We also have to face the reality of systematic racism. More than half a century after Rosa Parks and Mr. King marched, John Lewis bled. John Lewis bled. They said Rosa Parks sat Dr. King's march, John Lewis bled. We pay, and it does pay, a sufficient price for determining who gets ahead in America. We have to invest in communities of color and reform a broken criminal justice immigration system. We have guaranteed opportunity, dignity, and justice for every American. Hillary Clinton. She's quite the individual. She's a elected, experienced, and Senator of New York. Hillary expanded care, access 911 respondents, and veterans who worked in the rivalized rural communities. And advocacy of children, young lawyer to defend human rights. World Secretary of State, Hillary. Dedicated her career fighting for children and families. Education, Yale student. Hillary defend children and also against abuse and address systematic reason correcting. Little Rock, Arkansas, we got that cremator. We got that receipt of that cremator. We got that transaction report of the receipt with the United States of America here at Rhonda Kaiser's funeral home at 831 Pioneer Way. We got this Little Rock, Arkansas. We got the transaction report. We got a receipt. Declares that the cremator for the COVID-19 policy related to human resources has to feud with getting rid of exposed, contaminated bodies that gets in there and starts outbreak, epidemic, because of the fused outcome of the terminal ill people that are spreading the disease, and much of the spread and epidemic that's condoned to their services is spreading because the body and the orifices that airbornes the contaminants and spreads the epidemic to all the individuals, so they wouldn't partake in their opportunity to get exposed. This is domain freight. Estimated delivery date, July 8, 2022. Delivery windows, 8 to 5. BLL is 601-0329-556. Carrier pick is 109788643. American Crematory Equipment is 1453 Anderson Avenue, Santa Fe Springs, California, 90670. Lum, that's Leve Mons. 1562-926-2876. Orders AmericanCrematorium.com. That's him. That's Kaiser's. Chapel of Crematorium, 831 Pioneer Way. Most Lake, Washington, 519-765-7848. This is North Little Rock, Arkansas, 72115. Phone number 501-371-9814. A pallet's 1,970 pounds. Another pallet's 481 pounds. Another pallet is 2,456 pounds. You got metal pans of brick, 85. Brick, 50 items. 50 items of brick. And 85. Metal pans and bricks, 85. Received individual determinant contracts have been agreed upon, written between the carrier and shipper. Kaiser's Chapel of America, 831 South Pioneer, Rhonda Kaiser. Look at that. Now, this executive order carries this exceptional condoned services. Oh yeah. This is Kaiser's Chapel Memories, 831 South Pioneer Way, Moses Lake, Washington. Felix Barela, 1400 East Main Street, 4th out policy certificate. Oh, yeah. We got Rhonda L. Kaiser, RONDA L. Kaiser, 089313, agent number 509-765-7848. 831 Pioneer Way. And this is Mr. McKinnon. Mr. John Luke McKinnon, Washington Bar Association 13294. Beautiful man. Mr. Andy Miller, West State Prosecutor Office. Mr. Norman J. Mass, Mr. Mark Miley, Mr. Mark Miley, Andrew and Norman J. Mass, Department of Defense, and the General of the Marine Corps. And that's McKinnon, 704 East Olive, 509-765-4451. Oh, here we go. Mr. Ryan J. Ludskin, Mayor of Richland. Tiffany Scales, Megan Kilborn, Christiane McRoberts, Brenda M. Siffin, Emily S. Sullivan, Megan E. Westmer, Reed W. Hay, Stephen J. Hailstorm, Ryan J. Lex, Andrew M. Ho, Diane A. Ruff, Taylor Clark, Andrew Clark, Ann Chow, Brittany, Emma V. Vetter, Jessica Shin, and Kaylee Bennett Marshall, and Sheer Miller. Oh, beautiful man. Beautiful man, beautiful man. Mr. John Luke McKinnon at 704 East Olive, Mose Lake, Washington. And who do you have here? Mr. Sincerely Andy Miller, West State Prosecutor's Office, Administration Office at 7122 Okanagan Place, Building in Kennewick, Washington, 509-73535, fax 509-736-3066. Birth certificate, death certificate, services. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, carrying this containment of service of Liquor Arms Division and carrying this self-placking service administration office of tangibility and services and policy regulations and service of policy regulation carrying this COVID-19 policy regulations. And the Moses Lake Police Department Records Division 12ML09476. Dano Law Firm parking lot on the Broadway running coming from Stanford Road on I-90 Oil Company rig. Andy Miller's office is agency name. And Mr. John Luke McKenna, 1400 East Main Street, Othello, Washington. Andy Miller, Washington State Prosecutor, 509-735-39. There's a 2014 Toyota, 2000 Tundra. VIN number is JTDKN3DUXA0222426. Toyota Sequoia four-wheel drive 5.7 liter. VIN number is 5TD DY5G18ES106. 2004 Toyota Prius. VIN number is 5TD ZT37A7A74522104. Oh, yeah. Jasmine Carr Nahar, January 25th of 1991. Rami Pret Carr Nahar, January 7th of 1993. Hermander Singh Nahar, July 9th of 1996. Purjab Carr Nahar, January 25th, 1960. And Carmen Nahar, January 26th, 1962. And we also got 2000 Toyota Prius, JTDKN3DUX A0222426. 2000 Toyota Echo. VIN numbers FJTD BT123320226016. Rakesh Kumar Kachin Nadar, Mandeep Kar Nadar. Farm Company, the Farm Company in Seattle, Washington. Mandeepis Kar Kachin Nadar. 2016 Wrangler full drive. VIN numbers 1 C487WDG2GL245563. Oh, wow. And then we got Kim Wayman, Secretary of State. Steve Hobbs. Secretary of State Kim Wayman, Steve Hobbs, 801 Capitol Way. UBI number 602720, active. And it says Ajmer Singh, 1400 East Main Street. Hell yes, governing persons. Owner, CIMARON5INC, Nijjar, license numbers NIJJAAS320B5, Barela, UBI number 602720979. And email Washington State Prosecutor, and then Ajmer Singh, Nijjar, 1400 Main Street, Othello, Washington. I guess we get the successors administration office and policy regulations to its fulfillment of exercising the agreements of society of policy regulations to its successors, and bring an amount of $17,251.00 to its services. $17,000 is a lot of money. It's a lot of money, ain't it? Bringing to the society this perpetual service of administration office of its increments to society of policy, regulation, and services, and bringing this monument service to its society administration office. Santa Barbara, California, San Luis Obispo, Morro Bay, and Shell Beach, and Oceano, and also the Pismo Beach area. Billionaire sector, most beachfronts. Billionaires, millionaires, and the San Luis Obispo Higuera area, downtown San Luis Obispo is beautiful. This is San Luis Obispo, California. This is a picture of San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara area, but this is the White House portraits that have been posted at the Santa Barbara Ranch, and also the San Luis Obispo, California beach houses that consist with golf courses now. Mr. Donald Trump's president and bounty's president in Georgia. Certificate of service by Felix Barela. Certificate of service emails, prepaid postage, and also emails, and also FedEx, UPS, confirmation, signature verification. This policy regulation that carry the successors, Mr. John McKinnon's office, brings these services to its successors to policy regulation, to administration office, to its increments to society, as you can see, posing policy, regulation, and services to its individual kickbacks. Certificate of Service of Washington Bar Association, John Luke McKinnon, consisting of the guardianship and service, and also the containment of the COVID-19 policy regulations, and taking the installments and services of Microsoft to its successors. Order number and shipping product number for the McKinnon Law Office at McKinnon Law Office, 704 East Olive, Moses Lake, Washington. Changing the window out, breaking the window, they broke the window, taking the brick, taking the masonry equipment, and also the nuclear bomb we're going to got in the background. That nuclear bomb was taken from a policy regulation services of blowing up the Washington State, plotting to kill increments of society and bodily threats of shutting down Washington State to agree, like San Luis Obispo, California, Diablo Canyon. And this is Ronald Reagan himself. There's fault lines, there's liquor fault lines, there's some fault lines in Oceano, and also Santa Ida's fault, and also Diablo Canyon, and the Liquor Detainment Center in here in Richland, Washington, and Detainment Center in San Luis Obispo, Diablo Liquor Reactor, which is called Avila Beach, and Morro Bay, and Los Osos area, and Casadero, and Lompoc, and Casadero area, and these United States Air Force locations and plots of liquor deterrence and service, which mastermind in their individual location, which is here in Moses Lake, Washington. We have NASA astronauts here in Moses Lake, here at the International Larson Air Force Base, here on campus at the Administration of University of Washington, which is a download systematic service here at the United States Army Base. Now, Larson Air Force Base carries the Executive Order COVID-19 policy regulations. Mr. John Luke Buchanan, his Executive Order Certificate of Service by Felix Barela, Washington Bar Association 13294, served February 3rd, Mr. Donald Trump, 2023, May 25th, 26th, 27th, 22nd, 9th of 2023, June 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th, Juneteenth, 9-10 years in its anniversary, and also July 13th, 14th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, and also August 3rd and 4th of 2023, and August 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 3, 4, and 25th of 2023. And also, this motion is approved and sealed with 12 months extension, March 21st of 2023 and 2024, August 2024, May of 2024, and October 21st, 1972. This is a successor of the birth certificate and policy regulation and service at McKenna Law Firm, 704 East Olive, Moses Lake, Washington, and deterrent of policy regulations and services successors. And the LDS Church that's locally administrated with the services and policy regulations of bringing branches and churches to communities and building their foundation service to Joseph Prophet Smith. Now, Prophet Joseph Smith, he has, there's stories. There's a man on a horse representing the army. Every time he opened his mouth, a two-bladed sword came out of his mouth and struck its enemies, Satan and his followers, and its individuals that systematically are individually dramatized in their society, like ISIS members and terrorists and everybody associated with the party and plotting of the mass destruction of the nuclear bomb. And the background, you see the Hummer, the nuclear bomb, deterrence, and dramatizing the family members that are being torn apart for 9-10 years of the COVID-19 policy regulation. And this is Joe Biden, their service policy regulations and services policy regulations. And this policy regulation, this birth certificate, and certifying the original documentation of service and policy regulations of the citizenship brings people to waking up to a nightmare. You know, a nightmare that consists of policy, regulations, services automatically unloaded and imploded in their service and policy regulations itself as dealing with the state file numbers 146-1972-034775. Felix, first name Felix, last name Barela, October 21st, 1972, 10:41 a.m., Richland, Benton County, Washington, Cadillac Hospital. Robert V. Hernandez, place of birth, Nebraska. Juan Umbrella, place of birth, Texas, October 31st, 1972. So, policy, regulation, services to its successors, bringing the administration office to its individual upkeep in their systems, and automatic portfolio administration off the presidential primary election that carries these individual. Ted Cruz himself. And Ted Cruz, we got him on Facebook, right? United States Senators and General and Texas partner Morgan Lewis and Bucks LLP, just professor at the University of Texas Law, Director of Office Policy Planning, Federal Commission, and Associate Deputy Attorney General of U.S. Department of Justice Department, Domestic Policy Advisories at Bush Cheney campaign, and L.A. Clerk of Chief Justice Wellcrest report at the Supreme Justice of the United States, Supreme Justice on 1st Street Northwest, P.O. Box 20543, phone number is 202-479-3000. Now, Ted Cruz, he's an individual, and Ted's been calling the public service inspiring and first-hand observation pursuit of his for freedom of opportunity. The successors of the Texas Increment Society Administration Officer, if we take Mr. John F. Kennedy himself. You gotta look at your bomb and service, how the successor administration bodily harm and threats. Mr. Khadija Rice taking photographs with Bin Laden. Now, Bin Laden was him smiling with Khadija Rice at Stanford because he wanted to be a student, a representative service, be in accounting service, be a rep centers, be associate in counterintelligence and policy regulations, and move his ranks into the military uniforms that brought Mr. Obama to the policy and regulations, Senator McCain and Mr. Donald Trump and Mr. Biden to success, Mr. Hillary Clinton to its increments the needs of society of trying to not bring a threat or violate service administration office policy regulating, bringing Baghdadi down and ISIS Taliban members and these rough ignorant individuals to society, and Mr. Saddam Hussein's children, Odeh and Oba and the secondary apartments, bringing them down at 1313 West Grand Ronde, bringing, of course, the crazy individual Saddam Hussein's co-associates, Gaddafi and his predecessors, right next to the battleship of the Saratoga, and also where they burnt down and took down USS Cole Administration Office at the Grand Ronde, 13 Grand Ronde. All these threat, violence, and service, these Yakima reservation individual, counterintelligence individuals of increments of society, a policy regulation of railroading their increments of society, Mr. Ted Cruz, and bringing his successors, rubbing shoulders with these adversaries. And that's 713-353-433. That's tedcruz.org, Wawa, tedcruz.org. Calling public service, U.S. sovereignty against UN and World Court. Now, Ted authored more than 80 U.S. Supreme Court briefs, argued 43 oral arguments, including 9 before U.S. Supreme Court, and won an unprecedented series of landmark and national victories, including defending U.S. sovereignty and against UN and world courts, defending Second Amendment rights to keep, to bear arms, defending Constitution of the Ten Commandments, the Monument, Texas State Capitol, and words of Under God, Pledge of Allegiance. Now that church, LDS Church, that seven-headed dragon, that Satan, that white horse, and man that represented the army, a sword came out of his mouth. And then out of the Ten Commandments, out of the Bible and their services, the Christian service of the 118 chapters, right? 118 chapters. They got this Christian community crusader service of this fabrication of Jesus Christ walking the earth and walking the gown and bringing the birth in Christ, and also 7 days, 7 nights, and then he's brought up back alive and walking on planet again, and walking to his predecessors and his enemies face to face. LDS has this seven-headed dragon, but crowns, pearls, diamonds, sapphires, gold, silver, white gold, white silver, diamonds, rubies, rubles. In India, there's rubles, yen, pounds, Londons, Royal. A Burger King is a Royal. Royal is a cheeseburger, Royal. And metric system, standard system, and also the service of policy regulations of communism, terrorists, ISIS Taliban, and also northern province, Shelties, and also the Afghanistan, and service of policy regulations and services of holding their barrier grounds and service of Korea, parallel 1, parallel 32, parallel 20th. These no-fly zones and barriers system automatic transaction reports of their service of the United States Air Force. What's this NASA now? NASA program. Now, this sword came out of this individual because he has an LDS church. Now, Prophet Joseph Smith is a very popular man. He took down individuals, a guy in an army on a white horse. Every time he spoke, a two-bladed sword representing war. Anytime he talked, anybody he socialized with, anybody he talked to, a two-bladed sword came out of its mouth and devoured its enemies, cutting 7 heads off the dragon and devouring its Satan, the most dominant individual, untouchable individual, the most compatible service, Mr. Chapa, Mr. Baghdadi, Mr. Bin Laden, Mr. Obama, Mr. Saddam Hussein, Mr. An Odom, and of course the psychotic individual from 1313 Grand Ronde, and Gaddafi. All these success, these individuals, this guy found in a mansion. We got an individual Windermere apartment realty office right next to the United States Larson Air Force, the Big Bend Community College, and also the Larson Air Force Transport and Service Increments. Mr. Access to President primary election near Georgia. Now, the two-bladed sword came out of its mouth and devoured its victims. A three-headed dog was released and devoured everything in its path. Chapter 118, 128, the Christian community extending these preambles, these amendments, these declaration of independence, these preambles, supreme judgment, these constitutions, these artifacts and service of McKenna Law Firm at 704 East Olive. This Capitol Hill 365, Microsoft, Nintendo, and Windows 10, Windows 11, also the DVR Chromebook. The corruption they have. Now, LDS and Christian community have online services on your Chrome, your web, and your browser, and also your Microsoft and your app services. Chapters, the services of Satan himself walking and fighting the angels from heaven. The angels fall from heaven and onto the land, following through the administration office, the COVID-19 policy regulations, and community itself. Columbia Park, the Blue Bridge, the Kennewick Man, the Pentagon, the Raymonds, the 911. All these artifacts and services are here to see an open community and services. And policy regulation and service carries this monument service of download information that recovers all these apps and services. Now, LDS Church recognizes these serious administration office because we got real tangible evidence of Ted Cruz, Republican Party candidate. And remember, we got Donald Trump. Donald Trump is essential information 646-736-1779. This is the elected experience as real estate developer, golf course developer, best-selling author, and hot-seller and television producer. Education, New Military Academy graduate, and Walking School University and University of Pennsylvania. And of course, Stephanie's going to be doing that. And also Mr. Biden's going to show up for the graduation ceremony, and also the Grand Marshal New York City Veterans Parade, New York Police All Over League, and also United Way New York City counties of Donald J. Trump. American great again. Introducing the policies and putting money in people's pockets. Restore love in countries and raise our status of the world. Trump believes in markets and importance and a strong family culture of life and strong military. Countries' sacred obligation to take care of their veterans and their families. United States and the citizens and Donald Trump vow to end the corruption and influence of special interests. Also, under administration, also Americans will begin, and also the law, they're no longer China, Mexico, Japan, or other countries misincorporate as service of currencies in order to benefit their citizens. Need to trade free and fair. Must restore integrity in the national borders. And then also cannot exist people's strong borders and international visitors. Federal tax burden and inhabits economic growth and make also the hard Americans and must reduce the burdens, lowering rates and eliminating the loopholes. Now, we all witnessed this supernova, the star exploding, right? The supernova exploded around millions, billions, and went viral. We got this nuclear bomb in the back of the United States Army Windermere related office. The landscape, and there's a Hummer in the back. Mark Miley, Mr. Norman J. Mance, Mr. Andy Miller, Mr. Mark, John Luke McKinnon at 704 East Olive, Most Lake Watch, 704 East Olive at 509-765-4451. Fax 509-765-6019. COVID-19 policy regulations. All this Increment Society Administration Office is policy regulation and service, Mr. John Luke McKinnon and John Luke McKinnon's successors and the services of the administration office, Mr. George administration. He's going to be calling Donald Trump. Mr. Donald Trump be calling administration office and the prosecutor's office and the servicing on the Grant County and the Bent County. They reform and the wall at the Blue Bridge. A big wall at the building at the Blue Bridge in Pasco, Washington, bonding to Kennewick, Washington. Their service at the Lamson crane operative, the Lamson boat race, hydroplane race, the Kennewick Command and Policy Regulation, the Pentagon Arraignment and Service Administration Statutes of Limitation and Services at Muller's Funeral Home, fabricating the administration office and their successors. That document, that live document and feed